Welcome to another episode of One Step Ahead. We apologise for the fact that we have not been online lately, but we have a few in our series that we'll be releasing in short succession coming up soon. So this first one is from an online conference that we ran with people across Europe, particularly in England, just going through the International Playing Rules, so 5th edition. For those of you in Australia, it's pretty much the same document as our Australian 8th edition with just a few tweaks here and there, but for the sake of this presentation, we're using them as the same, and I'll discuss anywhere where it doesn't work. So I guess the timely reminder is, as always for us, you just have to call what you see. Rule what you see, what you know, what you understand. You can't rule on something if you don't see it. If there's a call for something that may have happened, you're more than welcome for you to stop the game if you're in a position to do so, or refer to your buddy ref quickly if you can. But remember, you're a human, so you're going to make mistakes. You're going to miss things. Hopefully, the more that you practice your profession as a referee, the less mistakes you'll make. That's the whole idea. So as in life, our lessons, we learn as we go. Same within school. If you're that young, it's okay to make mistakes. We just don't want to make the same mistakes over and over and over. So we want to learn from our experiences. We want to develop. We want to become better. So our whole goal should be about applying the rules in an appropriate manner to enhance the game outcomes. That's our job as a referee. Yeah. So don't want you to beat yourself up if you do make mistakes. Just think about it. It's about learning. It's about development. We are lifelong learners, regardless of where we are and what we're doing. You can make a big difference to enhance game outcomes if you have the right attitude and approach. You need to believe that. So we're not going to go through the whole rule book. We're just going to go through sections 9, 10, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20 through to 24. So quite a lot of the rule book. Everything else is straightforward. These are the areas that we've had some disagreements, I guess, around application of the rules. So we're going to just make sure that they are clear for everybody moving forwards. So firstly, if you're not sure of the new rule book, again, if it's the 8th edition in Australia, it's been a few years now, so you should be. The terms are exactly the same in both, so I'm not going to read through them, but you're welcome to pause and have a look at any of these if you need to. But it's really important we understand what each of these are and what they stand for and where they apply to the game. It's also equally important that we're using this correct terminology rather than our outdated terminology to ensure that players are getting the same information and same specific terms addressed in the right manner so that we have less frustration and confusion in that as well. So looking at the rules on possession, obviously on the change of possession due to an intercept, the first touch will be 0. So what that means is if I'm touched on the 6th touch, if I drop the ball goes to ground, the roll ball for the opposition will be touch 0. So the first touch made is touch 1. Now, if a player mishandles the ball and even in an effort to gain control, the ball is accidentally knocked forward into any other player, a change of possession results. So what that means is I catch the ball, but I'm fumbling it, hits the person coming in for a touch and I get it back. I've actually lost control of that ball. I haven't regained it before touching the other player. So the touch then, a defending player may not claim a touch if contact has not been made. So the player claims a touch has been made, but the referee is unsure, then the touch counts. You have to see the gap. A player who does so a penalty to the attacking team at the point of the infringement and the offending player sent to the sin bin if they do it on purpose. So that might be, I'm a winger, I'm in defense, I get stepped by the attacking winger, they run past me, I dive, I just miss them, but I think I'm close enough to be able to call it, so I call a touch to stop the try, even though I haven't made a touch. That act is actually not in the spirit of the game, obviously, and we must make sure that we penalise that player and send them to the sin bin. Or in that instance, potentially you could call a penalty try or play on, award the try because you are certain that they have missed the player, and then still send that player to the sin bin. So 10.3, players of both defending and attacking teams are to use minimal force necessary to make a touch. Players must ensure that the method employed in making a touch does not pose any unnecessary risk to player safety. A penalty at the point of infringement will occur otherwise. So they're the critical things. Minimum force. Now, in the minimum force, we know is different for different age groups, for different standards of games. We allow harder touches in a 16s, 18s, opens kind of division than we do in a 10s, 12s, 14s, obviously. Part of that is the risk of injury. We also don't like touches being forced down across the body, which twists the body, those kind of things. Because they pose a risk to the safety of the player, but B, because they also alter the ability for the player to roll the ball effectively, so it changes the shape of the roll ball, therefore influences the play. Okay. 10.4, then if the ball is accidentally knocked from the hands of a player in possession during a touch, the touch counts and the attacking player rolls on that touch. So for example, I come in to make a touch, I hit the hand, I hit the ball, whatever. As I'm going in for the touch, I'm not striking at it, but that's just happened. Then it's not loose carry that some people say. It's not a penalty for knocking the ball out because I haven't. It's just pick the ball up, roll the ball, that's touch, say 2. Different story if they attack the ball. Okay, different story if they put it on the foot of the attacker. Like, all of those are different to this. This is all about the touch itself. So there's some examples that we'll play.
With my son and my nephew just running off the field now, Carney.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so...
and which one's older out of the two?
Javan is.
Yeah, Javan.
Yeah, so Javan's the older. But yeah, both making their debut in a Opens division. Javan played mixed open in Nations.
Nothing in it.
Yeah, this is a completely different level.
And then you'll be hard not to miss Javan out there. He's rocking the now I don't know what colour this is. Is it
so
pink?
You'll see another
Tic Tac, or is it salmon? Salmon, guys. Now you're a man of that understands his colours and is.
Oh, and hasn't pushed through.
The ref just said that he was off balance then, so
he
the touch
was
wasn't too hard.
So making sure we're aware of
positioning, Nate would get 10
who's owning the space, what the intent is by both the attacker and the defender. That's critical in making these decisions.
Lee Rosso, he won't miss that one.
Speaking of the crowd, they're doing an outstanding job here, braving the weather. See a bit of rain. Ooh, nice hard push in the ruck. Play on, says the ref.
However, if the defending player deliberately knocks the ball out of the hands of the player in possession, it's a penalty at that point. If a player in possession intentionally makes a touch on the offside defender who is making every effort to retire, then that's a touch as well. So we know, regardless of whether the player is onside or offside, we can't initiate a touch without it counting. So if half scoops through, pushes out or past the defender who's making every effort to get onside to get past them, they are actually initiating a touch. So when a player from a defending team enters its defensive 7-meter zone, the defending team must move forward at a reasonable pace. So we call that the standoff. All right, standoff rule. Once we've engaged standoff, players must move forward until one of two things happen. The touch is imminent, or the attacking team also enters the 7 meters, at which point the defensive team can stop. They can move forward if they wish to, but they cannot retreat until the touch is imminent. When a player in possession enters the defending team's 7-meter zone, the defending team is not obliged to move forward, but cannot retire back towards their try. So this is what I've just said, until it's imminent or made. So each of these will result in a penalty if that happens. So an example for you to watch.
As we see Samoa here just making their way through the Cook Islands line. Hopefully they can create something. We've got Oscar there.
Them up, or trying to.
Here we go, Jesse.
Teaming up with Jesse, the danger man.
They've rolled back to the line there, and they were happy to concede a penalty.
So number 12, ball touched in flight. If a player from the defending team deliberately makes contact with the ball in flight, propelling it forward, and an attacking player in an attempt to regain possession drops the ball, the attacking team retains possession and the touch count restarts at 0. So they roll on 0. Yeah, so first infringement. The first infringement is the other team touches the ball to create a restart. We then move on in that area. It doesn't matter what happens after that unless we've played advantage, and then we've discounted that because they've got an advantage. If a player from the defending team deliberately makes contact with the ball in flight, propelling it towards the defending team's dead ball line, and an attacking player in an attempt to regain possession drops the ball, a change of possession occurs. So important that we note exactly what's happened there. So the defending team deliberately makes contact with the ball in flight, propelling it towards the defending team's dead ball line, and the attacking team then attempts to regain the possession and drops it. That's the difference. So further, if a player from the defending team unintentionally makes contact with the ball in flight and it goes to ground, it's a change of possession because they haven't played at the ball. Similarly, if it makes contact with them and it's retrieved by an attacking player, instead of a change of possession, the play just continues and the next touch count occurs because they haven't played at the ball. a player from the attacking team cannot pass the ball into a defending player intentionally to seek a rebound or a restart. In Edition 5 fit rules, that's actually a penalty against them, as you can see here. In Australia, we don't actually have the penalty component attached to it, it's just ball to ground. Moving on to the roll ball, the attacking player is to position on the mark, face the opponent's try line, make a genuine attempt to stand parallel to the sidelines, place the ball on the ground between the feet and control man and step forward over the ball, or roll the ball back with the feet no more than a meter, or pass a foot over the ball. So you can see this is where we have the ability to have quickies, but we need to identify if it's a split roll ball or not. They have to make an effort to get over the ball, passing the foot over the ball. If they make no effort, then we have to pull that up. So let's look at some examples.
Victor Paul is just being smart with the ball here and just getting them where they want to get them.
It's Lucky Paul, his brother.
So he steps backwards as his first
David,
motion, makes no attempt to put the foot over the ball, and the referee has missed that.
5 or 6 years for the Alliance, and he's probably rated as one of the best players to play in WA. Plays for the Fremantle Rebels. And
is he number 1?
Yeah, number 1.
That's why
same player rolling the ball. Watch the roll ball.
Correct.
As you can see,
Bringing them up here, I think they're in trouble here. This
Steps away,
not
not having any chance of getting over the ball again. Split roll ball. So we have to pick that up. Here's another example from the women's
again.
Let's see if Dallas and Chantel can connect here for
What's a feeder?
another brilliance, and they do well to get the penalty.
Oh.
Having a little giggle.
Shoving off the hands there, Scott, from a bit of water on them. We can say.
Oh,
As you can see, she didn't make the effort to step over the
touch,
ball.
they
The
just
referee's picked it up this time. So the roll ball, a player must not perform a voluntary roll ball. It will be a penalty against them. So you must be touched before you. Here's an example.
instrumental in setting up a good win for them. So as she's subbing off now, they'd probably be getting on another one of their strike players. Maybe Jataya's coming on.
And there goes out to our sponsors again, Jetstar.
Shout out to
Body
Jetstar.
position, the player's jumping back. You can see the gap.
And a no-touch call there.
Smart play from Ratu there, pulling out of that one.
Continuing with the roll ball, defending players are not to interfere with the performance of the roll ball or the half. Okay, if they do that intentionally in delaying play, then the penalty is 10 metres forward. In Australia, if it is a player in the roll ball after the roll ball has occurred, they're offside, so it's 7 metres forward of the point of inference. If it's a penalty to do with the roll ball itself prior to the ball being rolled, then the penalty is at that point. So we've got to remember those different distinctions as we go. Moving on to offside then, a roll ball or tap players from the defending team must not retire an unreasonable distance beyond the defending try line. So if they run back to the dead ball line, if they're not moving forward from there because they're doing that so that they can move forward supposedly to cheat the rule, we must penalise them. Okay, we have to get players to play fair and in the spirit of the game. That's part of our job in making sure that we're getting the best game outcomes possible. After effecting the touch, the defending player must retire the required 7 metres or to the defending try line, whichever is indicated, obviously. So if they're within the 7, we can't make them go back past the try line. Obviously, if we have a breach of that, penalty to the attacking team 10 metres forward of the infringement, or if it's on the defensive try line, 7 metres in line. Yeah, on that try line, they tap it on the dotted line 7 metres out. Should we have obstruction occurring, meaning that a supporting attacking player causes an apparent or involuntary or accidental obstruction, and the player in possession ceases to move, we allow the touch to be played because there's no advantage or disadvantage. But we have to communicate this. So an obstruction occurs, the player gives themselves up, gets touched, no advantage, okay, so no unfair advantage, we play on. And we make sure that we identify that. We verbally describe that to players. If the referee causes obstruction on either an attacking player or a defending player, including when the ball makes contact with the referee, play should pause and recommence with a roll ball at the mark where the interference occurred and the touch count remains unchanged. So if they've rolled the ball on 2, they've run through, passed the ball, it's hit the referee, they roll the ball where it hit the referee on 2. Now let's be clear, if the player intentionally does that, they don't get an unfair advantage. So we have to be aware of what's happening. Interchanging then, 17.5, so players leaving or entering the field shall not hinder or obstruct play. If they do, it's a penalty. When an intercept has occurred or a line break made, players are not permitted to interchange until the next touch has been made or the ball becomes dead. That's from either team. It's really important we know that. So if a player enters the field of play and prevents the scoring of a try, a penalty try will be awarded and the offending player sent to the sin bin. If a player enters the field of play but does not impede the scoring of a try, the offending player will be sent to the sin bin. So no penalty try because they haven't obstructed the try being scored, but they've still breached the rule, and the rule states that they must be sent to the sin bin if they do so. Don't feel that you can never warn someone to go back to the sub box if they've come on. No, go back. You can't come so early. Wait for your buddy or wait for the touch, whatever you need to say. Okay, we're able to talk people out of penalties to keep the game flowing if there's no unfair advantage or disadvantage. Moving on to advantage, where a defending team player is offside at a tap or roll ball and attempts to interfere with the play, the referee will allow advantage if possible, or they'll award the penalty, which if they can't, whichever has the greatest advantage. And should the attacking team in the act of taking the advantage subsequently infringe, the ruling on the initial infringement will apply. Yeah. This is suggesting, obviously, that we're not rewarding poor play or poor skill. So we're playing advantage for an offside player, and then a forward pass is thrown without that player impinging on the player's ability to throw the pass. We're not going to reward the player who can't pass the ball backwards with that penalty. Yeah, they've taken their advantage, and they've lost the advantage by having poor skill. Let's watch an example.
You speak of those volunteers who obviously, have family involved, but they do it for the love of it, and just to give
never made the try.
everyone an opportunity. Nice little play there, duck and under.
Advantage or
and Scott,
ultimate advantage is
I'm going to take the blame here, but I actually missed one of your sponsors. Speaking about volunteers, how could we forget the Bristol Paints volunteer of the month?
Forwards.
Yes,
One
shout out to the
volunteer. The other one never did, so they never made 2 feet. So the thing that we wish wasn't in our game at all, misconduct. It's really important that you know how to deal with this and what things you can do. So misconduct, warranting penalty, force interchange, sin bin or dismissal are all of these factors here. Okay. And depending on how bad they are, how often they occur, who they're aimed at will depend on what you do. But it's really important that we communicate as early as possible, that we stop the game when there are safety concerns and we deal with the incidents as they are, that we stop the game if we are receiving any abuse and remove those players in some way, shape or form. Importantly, that we talk to captains or coaches or both to ensure that we have their support in making sure that we tidy these things up. You should never have to put up with players abusing you, swearing at you, threatening you, or players performing unsportsmanlike in tripping, striking, spitting, any of those kind of things. Any players that do those kind of actions should not be playing in this game. Okay, 24 is drop off. So if the scores are tied, we have 1 minute to prepare. Obviously, someone will be watching a game and they should ask through the PA system or whatever structure is in place, if we have a tied score at the end of this game, referees, please raise your hand. So it's important you do that until you're acknowledged. Have a minute to get prepared, then we play 4-on-4 for 2 minutes. So in mixed, it is 2 males, 2 females, can be 1 male, 3 females, cannot be 3 males and 1 female. The match continues for the full 2 minutes until such time as at the end of 2 minutes we either have a team winning or we're tied up. Importantly, the team that taps second is the team that starts to drop off. So that's why they have the choice at the start of the game of what options they want to do. Similarly, if we then have a score tied, what happens is we continue from that point that the last play was stopped at the 2 minutes, but we drop down to 3-on-3. So at that point we can still have 2 males and 1 female, or we can have 2 females and 1 male in a mixed game, but we cannot have 3 males. You still need to have a female on the field. So we then play until the first team scores. As soon as the team scores, that game is then finished and we are done. Yes, so there's more information here about that, and I've already just said all this. Important for you to know is this point down the bottom, all games. If there's a player in the sin bin or sent for the remainder of the game, they start with 1 less player. So in that instance, it would be 4-on-3. And if the team still hasn't scored more than the other team and we're even after the 2 minutes, it would drop down to 2-on-3. So that numerical advantage must be retained throughout. Not sure if there's any other questions, but when I ran this session in England, It went for a full hour. This one was a lot briefer, obviously, because we didn't have interaction, only 20-something minutes. But if you have any questions, feel free to send them through. Happy to answer them. Happy to elaborate on points. Happy to watch some video footage, give you some feedback. Remember, you're human, you'll make mistakes, but learning from those mistakes so you don't do it again makes you a better referee, gets you greater game outcomes, which is the aim. So thank you again. My email address is there. Contact me if you want anything. If you think I can help in any way, shape, or form, you want me to run a small group session just for your referees, online or face-to-face if possible, more than happy to do so. Otherwise, wish you all the best and hope to see you out on the field soon.